now. Like, how could you let them have a ceasefire? Don't you know they're connected to Hezbollah? Hezbollah. Oh, Mark Levin, bro, that man is hilarious to watch sometime when he just spazzes out about a terrorist organization. It's just like, oh, look, bro, no, I get it. Hezbollah is a threat to you guys. And guess what? They're only a threat when Israel attacks them. So it's kind of funny how Israel attacks Hezbollah, and now we're just supposed to see Hezbollah as this threat towards us right now in this current moment, all of a sudden. So we're just supposed to say F the ceasefire, not try to stop this war because y'all started a war with Hezbollah. No, that's not how it works, buddy.
It keeps extending deadlines. If this deadline comes and goes without the Strait of Hormuz being open, what do you think should happen? I mean, do you think the president should follow through? Otherwise, do you think he risks just sending messages that all of his threats are empty?
Well, I think he's worried about the taco charge. Trump always chickens out. I think this is a result of poor planning on his part. I think it's important that he consult with the Gulf Arab countries. And if they don't like this approach, going after energy infrastructure in particular associated with oil and gas produced by Iran, then we should hear what their alternatives are. I don't know whether that consultation has gone forward or not, but the end result, in my view, ought to be regime change. I don't know what Trump's objective is. I know what my objective would be. And
we always know what you
all
want.
the talk about ending the nuclear program, ending the terrorist threat, ending the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, all depends on getting a different regime. All we're doing right now, and we're doing it very effectively, is what the Israelis call mowing the lawn. I don't want to mow the lawn anymore. I want this threat removed.
If you were advising the president now, would you encourage him to follow through with those specific threats to the civilian infrastructure if tomorrow's deadline comes and goes?
Well, let's take a look at the phrase civilian infrastructure. There's less there than meets the eye.
So AKA, like I said, and I kind of predicted this, he doesn't want no ceasefire. He wants a complete regime change, AKA boots on the ground. He said, F it, let's not mow the lawn and keep coming back. Let's just take care of it for good. And I'm be like, John Bolton, please add detail to that. What do you mean by take care of it for good? Like, what would you do? Because it sounds like you might just go ahead and drop a nuke on these guys and just call it a day. That is crazy.
First off, the Revolutionary Guard is typically thought to hold control over about 40% of Iran's economy, from which they derive revenues. Their generals derive revenues. The Guard itself derives revenues. They're part of the war machine. 40%.
I mean, how much money does our military get from us? Just because money goes towards a military doesn't mean you just take out on the whole people. But I mean, it's this kind of funny he's pointing that out. I mean, bro, I'm pretty sure more of our money or more, I'm pretty sure way more money from the American people go to the military than from the Iranian people to the IRGC. I promise you. Shoot, I'm pretty sure we spend more on terrorist proxies than Iran spends on the IRGC.
Percent of the economy. Next, the prohibition is against attacking civilian targets. But, for example, a power plant that provides energy to a military base, to a military facility, to a military manufacturing operation is a legitimate target. There's collateral.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry, though. Her face. It's her face. Like, do you see her face? Like, she just brightened up and looked to the side like, that doesn't constitute a legitimate target. Just saying because it has any military use does not constitute as a military target. That's like saying, I don't know, well, there's military guys that go to a university, so that's a military target? Like, do you hear yourself? Like, bro, so the military uses this highway more, I mean, maybe like one time out the week to transfer some stock, but mainly it's used by civilians. Basically, that entire highway is now a military target, is what you're saying. No, that's not how it works. If that bridge or that power plant is mainly used by civilians, like, then it's going to be considered a war crime. If it's mainly used by 80% civilians and only 80% civilian use, 20% military use, bro, it's going to be seen as a war crime because it's going to affect mainly civilians. So just saying that, oh, well, if it just has a little bit, just a tiny bit, just a smidge of military use, it could be greenlit for a strike. You guys are crazy. Absolutely insane.
civilian damage, that's true, but it's a legitimate target. And what we've seen is that Iran, like Hamas, has spent a lot.
Yo, shout out to my man Noah joining. He's like, but said Israel was promised that land 3,000 years ago. Of course, if we have to remove all those people that live there, of course we have to remove all those people that live there. How else are they going to get that land? I mean, yeah, you know what? Look, they can do whatever they want. Just leave us out of it. That's all we ask for. Like, look, if y'all want greater Israel, go for it. Just leave us out of it. Do it on your own. But apparently y'all can't do that, so I might as well just sit down. But apparently I'm anti-Semitic for saying that. All right, let's get right back into it. Let me see if I can try to get a live on YouTube.
Of effort.
But shout out to my man Noah Joyner. Appreciate it, my man.
Building a military machine underground, but it's left the power for that machine on top of the ground. And I think it's perfectly obvious that highways can be used to move men and equipment and for military purposes. So the words civilian infrastructure are not talismanic. You have to look at specifics. And presumably that's what the lawyers in the Pentagon are doing as they go down the target list. I think we have very high priority in not violating that prohibition against hitting civilian targets. And let's see what happens.
Right, but I mean, the president has mentioned, for example, desalination plants. It's not just the military that would rely on that, right? It's the civilian population for clean drinking oil and power infrastructure that would give the civilian population power, even though the military also relies on it. So how do you untangle the two here?
Well, the first thing to say is there's a lot of untangling to do. You cannot say civilian infrastructure and say home free. That's not the way it works.
Yes, you can. If it's civilian infrastructure mainly used by the civilians, that's exactly what you do. Hey, nah, bro, this man's insane. Bro, this lady's face is saying it all right now. Like, oh, what? Oh my God. Oh, yo, bro, this man's having a full-on neocon crash out moment. Mask off moment. They don't care. They will harm civilians if it means to get their end goal. They do not care about committing war crimes. They don't care about hurting the civilian people. They never cared about the Iranian people. Oh no, it was always about regime change, even though they lied to us in the beginning. Because what is this? What are you saying, bro? Well, just because it has mainly civilian use, I mean, look, all it needs is just 1% of military use and we can strike it. No.
Second, if you want examples in practice of how the United States behaves,
please
consider the bombing of Nazi Germany and Imperial Japan.
That was, bruh. That's why we got into the That's why we got into the Geneva Convention and claimed what we did in the past was war crimes, so we won't do it again. Are y'all stupid or something? Did y'all forget that in history class? Do you think the American people are that dumb? Yo, and shout out to this lady because her face is just saying it all right now. It's like, are you seriously saying this? Like, you know, pre-Geneva Convention, you guys sound dumb as hell, and you sound like you don't know history when you talk about shit before World War II or during World War II. Like, yes, we understand that we committed atrocities at that time. So we came out with the Geneva Convention, we signed under it, and we said, yeah, what we did back then were war crimes, and we vow to never do it again. So when this dumbass sits here and talk about what we did in World War II, that's inconsequential to what's going on right now.
Unless people are prepared to say we committed war crimes in the bombing of Japan and Germany, then they can expect something like that as justifiable over Iran.
President Trump today said, you know, regime change wasn't our goal, but there has been regime change because we took out the first round of leadership and the second round, and this round is much more pragmatic and smart, he said. But the bottom line is this ideology against the U.S., against the West, is pervasive in Iran, as you know. And the world's two most capable militaries, the U.S. and Israel, have been working together to kill off Iranian leaders in the IRGC. And the IRGC is still in control in Iran 6 weeks in. Then what is the likelihood that there will be regime change, that they will be wiped out at this point?
Well, first off, the regime has not changed. It's still the same regime for the reasons you state. It's the ideology that controls. Second, it took the Ayatollahs and the Revolutionary Guard 47 years to build this state. We're 6 weeks in. People are in a hurry. It's like a bunch of kids in the back seat of a car saying, "Are we there yet? Are we there yet?" No, we're not there yet. The people in Iran need to be able to have flexibility to help pull this regime apart at the top. And I think fractures at the top of the regime are already underway. And I think there are people, even in the regime, who are saying, this ship is going down and I don't want to go down with it. That doesn't mean the people go out into the streets to be indiscriminately machine gunned, but there's a lot going on. I thought the most important thing the president has said in the past day is that we gave weapons to the Kurds in northwestern Iran to transmit to other opposition forces. Apparently, they didn't get past the Kurds. I'd like to know more about that. But I say if the opposition wants weapons, we should get in as many as we can.
But if the United States and Israel can't take out the IRGC, then what would guns in the hands of Iranian protesters? What would...
Let's define take it out. Let's define take it out. The regime announced, and many people said with great glee who were opposed to the war, the IRGC decentralized its control structures into each of the 31 provinces. There's no real indication the regime has its act together. I think there are still elements of repression that exist, but we are systematically taking them apart. At least I hope we're still doing that. 6 weeks is not a lot of time. It's not a lot of time. And that may be politically difficult for Trump. That's a political consideration he should have weighed before. Somebody said, well, World War II took over 3 years. Oh, does that mean we shouldn't have fought it? I think if you want to remove the threat, you have to face...
No, but it is kind of wild that you're kind of talking about World War II concerning what would constitute as a war crime today. When in World War II, there was nothing that was really considered a war crime. That's why when we walked out of it, we created the Geneva Convention, us and other nations, and we vowed to not do that again. So I'm sorry, but if you're going to say that, oh, well, let's compare what we're doing now to World War II, you're kind of letting us know we're not at the right place right now if we're trying to compare what we're doing now to World War II before the recognition of war crimes. Like, you're letting us know we're not on the right path and we're walking backwards.
It's the logic that after 47 years, the regime has not changed its behavior, and it's not going to change it in year 48. If you want to be free of the nuclear threat, free of the terrorist threat, free of the threat of closing the Strait of Hormuz, the logic is change the regime. I don't think there is anybody in this regime at the level of Ghalibaf and dozens of others, frankly, that is any different in their fanatical Islamicist ideology that would treat with the United States. And I think this frantic idea to find Iran's equivalent of Delcy Rodriguez was a fool's errand to begin with. None of these people are going to make any change in policy, if for no other reason at this moment than they're in fear of their own life from their compatriots still in Tehran. So the deadline runs out on April the 6th for the negotiations, if they've even taken place, other than sending notes through intermediaries, which you can parse the word negotiation. That's not negotiation to me.
If Iran gets to this missing American crew member before the U.S. does...
No, he's not lying. We're just passing around like our demands. And right now, it's looking like we're just going to work with Iran's 10-point demands, which, like I said, I can read it out again. Let's see, Iran's 10-point peace plan. Let's see, guarantees that Iran will not be attacked again, permanent end to the war, not just a ceasefire, end to Israeli strikes in Lebanon, aka cut the shit with Hezbollah, lifting all sanctions on lifting all U.S. sanctions on Iran, end to all regional fighting against Iranian allies, aka don't fight Hezbollah, don't fight Hamas, and don't fight the Houthis. All right. Iran would reopen the strait. Iran would impose a $2 million fee per ship going through the strait. Iran would split fees with Oman. Iran would establish rules for safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz. And Iran would use Hormuz fees for reconstruction instead of reparations, which, I mean, I'm going to be real with you, basically reparations.
Does that change this war in your view?
Not at all. I mean, we're all concerned to get that crew member back. There's no question about it. I wouldn't want to see any American become a POW of this regime. But let's see what the situation is right now. Iran has now shot down 2 of our aircraft. Kuwait has shot down 3. This happens. It's unfortunate, and it's a propaganda victory for Iran only if we let it become one. This is something that tests our resolve, and we should have had a reserve of resolve before we started the war. And if the president or the White House are shaky because of this, then it indicates yet again that they had not thoroughly thought through what it meant to launch these attacks.
Does it undermine what the White House has been saying about how degraded Iran's capability is? I mean, the president said this week that Iran had no anti-aircraft equipment, that their radar was 100% annihilated.
Sure, it absolutely degrades White House credibility, and that's a self-inflicted wound by the White House, not by the Iranians. If you overstate what you've accomplished, and evidence comes that shows that you've overstated, you look foolish.
Why do you think the president hasn't spoken about this on camera today? Does that stand out to you at all?
No, it sounds to me like he's probably back in a panic mode, wishing he could find a way to declare a victory and get out of this war, regardless of whether or not he.
But I mean, trust me, even the Trump, even like Mark Levin, Laura Loomer, the Israel First guys are telling Trump to get his ass back in the game. Like, get off the bench, get off that ceasefire bench, and get your ass back in the game and go to war with Iran. I don't care what the American people want. It's MEGA now, so go to war with Iran. I mean, look at Laura Loomer's tweets. Look at Mark Levin tweets. Mark Levin just put out a video talking about, well, this is wild that we're even in a ceasefire. What about Hezbollah? It's like, bro, his own base, the new MAGA crowd is closing in on him, telling him this is a bad idea, which is wild because I believe that, no, let's keep on this path. Let's de-escalate and let's see how it goes. But apparently de-escalating is going to be what's going to look like an L for Trump.
Opens the Strait of Hormuz before he does it. I think that's a mistake too. I think that if there had been an effective decision-making process before the war started and these concerns were raised and they bothered the president, he had the option then not to initiate the attack. But apparently he was satisfied. Now, if things are upsetting him that he either didn't think about or didn't pay any attention to in the run-up to the war, that's a problem for him, and therefore it's a problem for the country. But it was easily avoided and should have been avoided.
On the Strait of Hormuz, I mean, the president has gone from saying it's not America's problem, that U.S. allies should just take it, that it would be easy, this would open up naturally once the war is over. Now he said today, with a little more time, we can easily open it, take the oil, and make a fortune. It would be a gusher for the world. I mean, do you have any sense of what he plans to do with the Strait of Hormuz based on that?
No, I don't. But I'm not bothered because I don't think he does either. I think this is just more rhetoric, and I don't think it's helpful. We have an interest in the Strait of Hormuz being open because that region produces 20% of the world's oil, and it doesn't matter that we import very little of it ourselves because oil is priced in a global market. And anybody with their hand on the spigot on the Strait of Hormuz determined to turn it off is going to have a devastating effect on the world economy. That's why we became concerned about this region in the late 1970s, and that concern has not changed. Should others be doing more? Yes, I think the Europeans have made a big mistake in the way they reacted to Trump. But that doesn't lessen our interest in opening the strait for our partners, the Gulf Arabs, who are not getting any oil out. I think we should blockade Iranian vessels from getting out and apply pressure until they allow the Gulf Arabs to ship as well.
I mean, then everybody's going to have a choke point. The blockade is going to be hit by drones and missiles. So, John Bolton, you would just be escalating the situation. And I mean, you have not gave. I'm be real with you at this point. I'd rather Trump be handling this than this guy. Thank God. But all right, though, let's get it over to the next one.
And what he will do.
Earlier today, though, Sandra, President Trump giving his most dire threat yet to the regime, writing, quote, "A whole civilization will die tonight."
All right, it is about 43 minutes past the hour, and Fox News alert. Reports now surfacing that Iran's cutting all communications with the U.S. The White House is reacting to those reports, saying this: the Iranian regime has until 8 p.m. Eastern time to meet the moment and make a deal with the United States. Only the president knows where things stand and what he will do.
Earlier today, though, Sandra, President Trump giving his most dire threat yet to the regime, writing, quote, a whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again.
In moments, Brent Sadler will weigh in on the major threats.
And like I'm saying, I'm happy because and the reason I showed y'all this, because this is what he was on. And now we got this, possible 2-week ceasefire. And we'll see if it stands, because like I said, there was just an attack in Israel, even though Israel did attack Iran, and Iran was just responding to that attack. So we'll see if that counts as a break in the ceasefire. Maybe. We'll see. But all right, though, I do got this Piers Morgan video I want to react to. And then, I might have to close it out for the night because, bro, I can't even go live on YouTube. It's crazy. I'm going to try one more time, though. I'm going to try one more time, guys. One more time. But, hey, you'll definitely see the clips from this live on YouTube for sure.
I didn't think it was presidential. Someone should step up to something like this. The optics are very important, and you really can't say you're going to wipe out an entire civilization.
A lot of this is propaganda. A lot of this are things that we've seen before. The U.S. was already in a hole, and this makes it infinitely worse.
Don't always believe what he says.
When he's threatening genocide?
I think he's threatening genocide. I think he's threatening to remove the Iranian regime.
What I hear on the panel, there's a lot of people being triggered by Trump. And I think that's what happens when someone with a backbone comes in and says, no, you know what? We're going to stand up to evil.
Here we are on the precipice of a nuclear